I was raised in Southern California, San Diego. There were 5 children in our family. I was the middle one, and my mother raised us. She had a hard job of raising 5 kids on her own, and she struggled and usually worked 2 jobs. She tried her very best to take care of us, keep us fed and a roof over our heads. My inspiration to becoming a doctor was a wonderful physician who cared for my family. He was the old-fashioned family doctor, the kind of doctor that did everything from delivering children to family medicine to doing the hysterectomy. He was a benevolent caregiver who loved to practice medicine and make sure that his patients were well taken care of, regardless of their ability to pay. I don't know about the word achievement, but I've been honored with things like being the past president of the Clark County Medical Society and the Nevada State Medical Association. But it's just day-to-day practice, which I feel most honored and privileged to do. And of course, in my field of OBGYN, there is absolutely nothing more exciting than being there at that moment of birth. The greatest honor of my life is that my husband picked me for his wife. We've had the 30 years of marriage and had the privilege of parenting my children, which I think is the greatest privilege that any of us have, is the experience to co-create with the Father in heaven, children of God, and to be able to raise them. And hopefully, my husband and I have done a pretty good job.
My career path was influenced by my dad. My father was an Air Force officer who joined the Air Force shortly before World War II. He encouraged all of us kids to pursue our own paths and encouraged me to be my own boss. I was in Bolivia once, and there was a 40-year-old mom of 3 who had been burned a year before. I asked her, "Is there something we can do for you?" Her answer was, "I'd like to drink liquids again." And it shocked me. I hadn't thought of it. I hadn't thought of how she drinks liquids. Her mouth, her lips are fused open. I thought, oh my goodness, she has to tip her head back and pour liquids down her open mouth in order to drink. And I said, yeah, we'll fix your lips, and I'm gonna put some skin grafts on your eyes too, so you can close your eyes. But she taught me a lesson that little basic things that we take for granted all the time, these people live with as a daily encumbrance. As president of the Nevada State Board of Medical Examiners, I have the opportunity to review what other states have done and their quality of care. And I can tell you that Las Vegas, Nevada, has world-class care. We're up to the same standards as any place on the planet. The big cities, the big towns, they don't have anything on us. We really are a pocket of unrecognized skill. We've got some doctors in this town who are true world innovators. Those that teach the international community. I'm always uncomfortable and uneasy and a little stiff when I get this recognition, particularly because I'm put in the same category of physicians that I admire in town. And I would be comfortable having any of my family members being treated by my colleagues here in Las Vegas.
I grew up in Escondido. My mom, she was a stay-at-home mom. She was always there. We had an acre and a half. We had 72 orange trees, 2 horses. I used to go surfing a lot. I had a great childhood. My dad taught me that your word is your bond. And I've done a lot of my business in this town with a handshake. Even though he was a lawyer, he said, don't do a contract, they can always be broken. I did like watching Ben Casey, and when I was 13 years old, I had to have my appendix out, and I asked if we could crash through the operating room doors like they did on Ben Casey. Anita Tompkins was my high school chemistry teacher that really got me excited and on the path to going to college. I moved to Las Vegas, took a job as a crap stealer. So I applied to medical school and they said, no, there's absolutely no way you'll ever get into medical school being a crap stealer. That's just not conduct becoming of a physician. So I borrowed some money and went to EMT school. I signed up in the Air National Guard and was a flight surgeon. Going from dealing craps to being an EMT, you would see people at their absolute best and their absolute worst. There's going to be rapid change. We're going online with electronic medical records. We're going to be able to coordinate care and do population-based medicine. We're a tourist town. We have to develop our medical community so that we can be able to step up to the plate and meet the needs of the various and sundry guests that we host in our town. The only thing I can come up with is passion. And the luckiest thing I have is what I do. It happens to be my passion, and therefore it's fun. And every man is someone who helps them along the way. My wife of 27 years, Deborah, has always been there inspiring me and sometimes kicking me in the rear end when I need that. My children are some of the greatest inspiration I have. It's phenomenal to look at the world through their eyes.
I was exposed to medicine very early. I started scrubbing in surgery when I was 14 with my mom, who was a pediatric surgeon. Her dedication, her commitment to her patients is something that I really felt very passionate about, and I was really inspired by that. A couple of years later, when I was 16, I was accepted to Moscow Medical Academy, which is the most prestigious medical school in Russia. And then a few years later, myself and my parents were able to move to the States. Since I came to Las Vegas, we have performed a number of very unique surgical procedures, primarily related to spine tumors that had never been done in the state of Nevada before. And we've had great success with the surgeries. Now, those are the patients that previously would have to travel somewhere else, the East Coast or West Coast. And at this point, those patients actually can stay in town and receive the best care possible right here locally. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to accomplish all of this without my great team. My wife, who is the most important person in my life. She's truly my friend and my inspiration. She's an amazing wife, amazing mother, and amazing surgeon. My brother, he's an anesthesiologist who takes care of most of my patients. My assistant Francis, who's been working with me pretty much every day, as well as my PA Gavin. So we really have a tremendous team, and I'm very fortunate to work with these wonderful people every day of my life. I have worked at some of the best institutions in the world on the East Coast and in the Midwest, and I feel that some of the best physicians I have ever had a privilege of working with are here in Las Vegas, who are highly trained, who have great expertise in their field and great compassion for the patients. And I'm definitely very proud to be part of the medical community here. I've always felt very passionate about humanitarian work, and I had been part of this organization as a board member called MiraMed that deals not only with the issues of orphans and social adaptation of the orphans, but also a huge issue of sex trafficking in Eastern European countries. This is definitely a very humbling experience, and I definitely would encourage everybody to in some way get involved in humanitarian activities because it really gives you a very different understanding of how most of the people in this world are not nearly as fortunate as we are living in this country. And we can really make a difference by being involved in this kind of activities.